Hi, welcome to Marker Board Videos. Today's video is on test taking strategies. It's getting to be test taking time here in Arizona, and no matter what state you're from, you probably have a test that you have to take. High stakes test, state test, standardized test, something like that, but everybody's got these tests that they have to take. And for many years, I was one of the people on the team that actually wrote questions for our high stakes test. And so I have a little bit of insight into it, and I'd like to share some of that with you. I shared it with other people. They've had a lot of additional success because of these tips. So here we go. First of all, the most important thing you can do when you take one of these tests, yes, you want to get a good night's sleep the night before. Yes, you want to eat a good breakfast. Yes, you want to, breathe and calm yourself down. But when you're sitting there and the test is put in front of you, what do? Well, the first thing is you have to know your test. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and here's the questions that I think are the most important. First of all, does guessing hurt? Listen to the instructions that your teacher reads. Usually it's right in the instructions that it'll say there's no penalty for guessing, or you get a quarter point off for each one that you get wrong, in which case guessing does hurt or it could hurt. So make sure that does guessing hurt, because if there's no penalty for guessing, you're going to treat the test a little differently than if there is a penalty for guessing. Second question, is the test timed? Do I have a time limit? If I only have 30 minutes to complete a test, I'm going to approach it a little bit differently than if I can have all day to complete the test. So that's a second question that's very important. I also ask, can I write on the test? Now we're getting more and more to the electronic age where a lot of things are delivered online, but if you have a physical copy of a test, can you write on your test booklet? Not your answer sheet. We know you have to bubble in those bubbles and all that stuff, but can you write physically on the test booklet? And the final question that I always ask is, do all of the questions have the same value? Now, a lot of times teachers aren't going to know that. The person who's administering the test may or may not know that. You may want to do a little research on your test beforehand. You may want to go to Google or your state website, or if you're taking the MCATs or GREs or something like that, get some information about it and find out if all of the test questions count exactly the same. That's going to be really important in a minute too. So make sure you know the answer to those questions. Now, here's what happens on a test. You get a test and the questions are either easy or hard, and they're either quick to answer or they take a long time for you to answer, right? So you have some questions that are easy and quick. You have some questions that are easy but are going to take you a little time to figure out. You have some questions that are difficult but don't take a ton of time to figure out. And finally, you have some questions that are going to take you forever and are really hard. And I want to tell you one more thing about test taking. A lot of times on tests, you have questions that are embedded that absolutely do not count. They are put on your test so that people who are test writers and people who are test developers can see, is this a good question for a test or not? It doesn't count, but we're going to use the data from that. We're going to see how many kids got it right, how many kids got it wrong, how many kids who have an A average got it right versus how many kids who have a D average got it right, how many girls got it right, how many boys got it right, all of that kind of thing, because we want to make sure there's no bias in it, that it's a fair question that everybody understands and everybody has an equal chance of answering it correctly. So know that sometimes on your test there's questions that you're not even graded on. So you can't let one or two questions bog you down in terms of feeling like you're a failure or deciding that you're done with the test because there's some questions you don't answer. Know that sometimes on those tests there are questions embedded on there that aren't going to count towards your score at all. And that's an important thing to know. All right, so if you are allowed to write in your test booklet, write in it, okay? First thing that I do is I underline or highlight critical words. What are critical words? These are some of my critical words. Yours might be others. They might be some in addition to this. If I see the word not, I circle it. I make sure that I don't miss that word when I'm trying to answer the question. Same thing with always, except, never. Words like that. The word not is the one that always throws me off. All of the following are true, except which of the following is not a reason that, and those tend to throw me off. I tend to miss that a lot. You may too. So go back and look at your test and underline or highlight each of these important words, critical words. Also, when you're going through the test, if there's an answer that you know absolutely cannot be the correct answer, draw a line through it. Those answers that are incorrect that are given on your test as a multiple choice test, they're called distractors. And the distractors are put there, why? Yeah, to distract you, so that you'll want to go to that as the correct answer when indeed it's not the correct answer. So if you find something that you know is absolutely incorrect, cross it out. You don't have to think about it anymore. It's done. It's gone. Now you're down to 3 choices probably. First time you go through the test, and I'm going to tell you the order in which to do the test, but the first time you go through the test, I want you to go through and read every single question, all the way till the end of that section, whatever you're allowed to work on for that period of time. Critically important, because frequently you will find the answer to a question number 3 in question number 27. But if you're pressed for time, or you get worried or upset or stressed, you may never get to question number 27. So the first time I want you to read every single question. Pay attention, see if you've got an answer embedded somewhere else. Now, really good tests don't have that happen. Every once in a while, though, it slips through, and that's to your advantage. If guessing doesn't hurt, answer every single question. If it's a time test and your teacher says you have 5 minutes and you still have 18 questions to answer, pick your favorite letter, go through and bubble that in for each of those 18 answers. You still have 3 minutes left? Great. Now you can go back and work on those and change the answers that you need to. But at least you put something down. To me, there's not a lot worse than having blank answers when guessing does not hurt you. You might as well take advantage of that. So if guessing doesn't hurt you, make sure you have every single answer answered. And probably one of the most important things is that voice we have in our head. See, here's me once when I was taking a physics test. I was in college, I was taking a physics test, a little intimidated. It's a college course, and and I'm not real comfortable with this. And I get the test, and I look at it, and I look at question number 1, and I'm like, ooh, I can't answer this question. Well, here's what happened after that. I said, I can't answer this question. Man, I should have studied more last night. I can't believe I didn't study enough. I am such a loser. If I can't do question 1, how do I expect to be able to do any other question on this test? I am up a creek. I'm never going to pass this class. You know what? If I don't pass this class, I'm not going to graduate from college. And how am I going to get a good career? Because I couldn't answer one question. I got myself into such an emotional and mental mess that it was very difficult for me to finish the test. Instead, what I want you to say is, I read question number 1. The answer doesn't pop to mind immediately. That's okay. I'm going to go on to question number 2. It doesn't mean anything. See, questions Questions are not put in an order from easy to difficult. Question number 1 is not necessarily the easiest question on the test. It may be the most difficult. And if your test is randomized, meaning everyone has the same 50 questions, but they're not all in the same order, then that's especially true. And what if question number 1 was one of those questions that doesn't count? It was just a question put on to see if it's a good question for future tests or not. So teach that voice in your head to say, hey, you're doing the best you can. You can't answer question number 1? No big deal. Go on and look at number 2. And don't get bogged down in that, because you can psych yourself right out of the test. If you find yourself getting really nervous and upset, put your pen and pencil down, sit up straight and tall, and take a number of very deep, slow breaths. 3 to 5 seconds breathing in, 3 to 5 seconds breathing out. Do that 3 or 4 times. Really get that oxygen flowing. You'll find it calms you down a lot. And don't hesitate to do that several times during the test, whether it's timed or not. If it's not timed, you certainly can do that. You have no problem with doing that. If it is a timed test, you might have to do that, but keep your eye on the clock. And remember, if guessing doesn't count, fill in every answer. All right, so here's what I promised I'd get back to. Oh, I'm sorry, last one more clue. If the test is not timed, know your limit. Just because they give you 8 hours to work on it doesn't mean that you can work on it for 8 hours. You may know that after 4 hours, you're done. Then you need to time yourself so that you're done in 4 hours. You may know that after 5 hours, you're done. If you don't have a clue, give it a try that first time and see how it goes. But pay attention to your energy level and your cognitive focus. Pay attention to how clear your thinking is, and see, if you will, when you start diving off that cliff, when you start taking that nosedive cognitively, and you're like, I just don't care anymore, I just want this done. That's your limit. So you need to know what that limit is. Okay, now what I was promising before. Remember when I put this on? Let's see if we can find it again. This, easy and difficult, slow and quick. Well, there's a method, if you will, that I use when I go through a test. And if you forget about it or you mix it up, it's not a big deal. But this is what's always helped me, okay? I do them in a certain order. And the order I always follow is this. First, I go through the whole test, and any question that's quick and easy, and I know the answer, and I can do the answer really quick, I do it. I go through the whole test, all 90 questions or whatever, and if it's quick and easy, boom, done. Let's say it's a language test, a language arts test, and it says D-O-N''T is a contraction for what? Well, I know that's do not. Don't is for do not. I read don't, I do not, I'm on, done. Don't, quick and easy. Ones that you just know. You don't even have to think about, they're just part of you, you know. Get those ones done and move on. But do the whole test like that. The reason that I recommend that is, you know that little voice in your head? Well, by the time you get done to the end, I don't care if you've done 3 or 30 or all of them, you now have built up some confidence in yourself because you've gone through and look at all the ones that you can do. Look at the things you know. Second, go through the ones that are easy but are going to take you some time to work out. Now, there's some problems like in math and stuff that I could figure out, but they're going to take me a minute or 2 or 3 or maybe even 5. I can do them. It's just going to take me some time. That's what I do the second go round. So I always start with the easy ones. I get all the easy ones out of the way. The whole test, all the way to the last question. Now again, with AIMS, with the Arizona test, it's chunked. You have this math level, and then this one, and then this reading, and then this reading. And so don't go beyond where you're supposed to. When I say the whole test, I don't mean the whole book. I just mean the section you're allowed to test at that time. Round 3, start back with question 1. Now I'm going to do the questions that are challenging. They're pretty challenging. I got to think about it a little bit more. They're not the easy ones, but I can do the answer pretty quick. Maybe I'm not positive of the answer. Maybe I've got it down to between 2 of the options. Not sure. A little more challenging, but I can do them quick. Whole test. Easy, quick, easy, slow. Difficult, quick, and then difficult, slow. These are ones that I'm pretty sure, given enough time and energy, I could probably figure out, but man, they're hard. And they're going to take me a long time to do. That's my second to the last go round. So now what I've done is I've addressed all the quadrants. The easy and quick, the easy and slow, the hard and quick, and then the hard and slow. So what's left? The questions you have no clue on. Because there will be questions that you go, I have absolutely no clue. If you have not been able to cross off any of the options, before you take the test, pick your favorite letter. If it's multiple choice, pick your favorite letter, A, B, C, D. And for every one of those that's a total guess, bubble in the same letter. I'm going to warn you, I know that you've always heard the correct answer is C. When you're not sure, guess C, guess C, guess C. Probably not the best idea. If C is your favorite letter, that's fine. Go ahead and do it. But to guess C because people have told you to guess C, not a good idea. On most math tests, if you look at the answers, the distractors, they go in order from the smallest number to the largest number. Take a look at your next test and see if they do that or not. A lot of them do. So when you pick C, every time you're saying, I'm going to always pick the second highest number. Nothing wrong with that if you're at the 5th go round and you're doing total guesses. But if you can get rid of a couple of your options and maybe you have 2 options left or whatever, go ahead and try that instead. So know your test, relax, tell yourself you're confident, that you're doing the best you can, and that's okay. The world's not going to end if you get number 37 wrong. It's not going to end. And just do the best you can. Try going through a test like this in that order, build up your confidence, and do a great job. I'm sure you'll do fine. And oh yeah, eat a good breakfast. Don't forget that.